My friends, there's a divine pattern in life. Every person who has ever risen to greatness, every soul who has ever shaped destiny, has been broken first. Not destroyed, but reshaped. Not ruined, but refined. God breaks the man he intends to use, because only through breaking can a new vessel be formed, one strong enough to hold purpose and power. A man who has never been broken walks with the illusion of strength. He believes himself to be prepared, but untested steel cannot be trusted to bear great weight. Life has a way of exposing what is fragile in us, and until a person has faced the storms of loss, failure, and disappointment, he cannot truly know the measure of his own endurance. Breaking is not meant to destroy, but to reveal what lies beneath the surface. It removes the mask of imagined power and replaces it with a foundation of proven resilience. When challenges come, they strip away pride and false confidence. Hardships shake the very ground we stand on so that what is weak falls away. The man who has been through breaking learns that his strength does not come from himself alone, but from the lessons carved into him by trial. Each fall, each rejection, each closed door becomes a teacher, shaping his vision and building the kind of discipline that no easy path could ever provide. Through this process, he begins to understand that setbacks are not punishments, but preparation for something larger than himself. In the furnace of struggle, character is purified. Just as gold is refined by fire, the human spirit is strengthened by adversity. Breaking stretches the soul and teaches reliance on wisdom beyond our own. The man who once lived only on his own understanding learns to trust a higher purpose. Painful seasons teach patience, humility, and compassion, qualities that cannot be developed in times of comfort. These lessons open the door to deeper insight and prepare a person to carry a responsibility that would have crushed him otherwise. Loneliness, rejection, and defeat often accompany this breaking process. They are not pleasant companions, yet they play their role in shaping greatness. A man who has walked through such valleys emerges with empathy for others who struggle, and his voice carries weight because it comes from experience, not theory. Scars become testimonies, wounds become wisdom, and trials become the very evidence that he is capable of leading others through their own battles. Without this refining, he would have no depth, no credibility, no true influence. Every story of greatness carries with it a season of breaking. No leader who has left a lasting mark on history rose without walking through fire. The difference between those who merely rise and those who rise with power lies in the breaking. The former may shine for a moment, but the latter endures because his strength is rooted in tested faith and unwavering purpose. To be broken is to be remade, and what emerges from that process is not a weaker version of the man, but a stronger, wiser, more capable vessel. So if life has broken you, take heart. You are not being discarded, you are being prepared. The breaking is not the end, but the beginning of your true journey. The greater the breaking, the greater the destiny that follows. Every tear shed, every failure endured, every obstacle overcome is part of the refining process. You are being shaped into someone who can carry the weight of purpose, someone who can inspire others, and someone who can stand unshaken in the face of storms. The world does not need unbroken men. It needs those who have been broken and remade into instruments of strength and wisdom. When the world shakes you, it is easy to believe you are being punished, that life has singled you out for hardship. But the truth is far different. Shaking is not meant to destroy, it is meant to awaken. When the ground beneath your feet trembles, it forces you to let go of what is unstable and cling to what is lasting. It strips away illusions and comfort so that your true foundation can be tested and strengthened. Without that shaking, you would never discover how deeply rooted you really are. Preparation often comes disguised as struggle. The roles we are destined to play require more than raw talent or good intentions. They demand endurance, patience, and resilience. Life shakes us to build those qualities into our very core. Each challenge we face is like a rehearsal for a greater performance, training us in the discipline and courage we will one day need. You are not being weakened in these moments. You are being conditioned for strength. Think of the seed buried in the soil. It is shaken by the wind, pressed by the earth, and broken open before it can grow into a tree. That shaking is necessary for transformation. In the same way, your life must sometimes be unsettled so the greatness within you can emerge. The roles you are meant to play, the responsibilities, the opportunities, the impact, cannot be carried by an untested person. They must be entrusted to one who has proven he can stand firm when the world trembles. If you view life shaking as punishment, you will resist it and miss the lesson. But if you see it as preparation, you will lean into it and grow. Every trial, every setback, every unexpected change is an invitation to develop new strength. It is life's way of expanding your capacity so that you are ready when the moment comes to step into your true calling. Resistance hardens you, but acceptance shapes you. So when the world shakes you, hold steady. Do not despair. Remember that this is not the end, but the refining. You are being prepared for a role far greater than the one you play today. The shaking is proof that your life carries purpose, and the more intense the shaking, the greater the purpose it is leading you toward. What feels like breaking is actually building, and what feels like loss is often the birth of your destiny. Hardships have a way of exposing what lies beneath the surface. When life is easy, pride and arrogance can grow unchecked, and a man may come to believe that his strength is his own. But when the storms come, when comfort is stripped away, the truth is revealed. Hardship takes away the illusions we hide behind and confronts us with who we truly are. It humbles us, showing that no amount of arrogance can shield us from pain, and no false strength can carry us through real battles. In the breaking moments, pride crumbles because it cannot stand against reality. Struggle teaches us that ego is not a weapon, and arrogance is not armor. These qualities may give the appearance of strength, but they collapse under pressure. What remains when hardship has done its work is something far deeper, something that cannot be faked. Character. It is character, not pride, that endures the test of fire. Hardship is not an enemy, it is a teacher. It dismantles everything that is unnecessary, everything that is hollow, everything that would one day betray us if left unchecked. When arrogance falls away, humility takes its place. When false strength is gone, true resilience is born. This process is painful, but it is also liberating. It allows us to walk without pretense, to live with authenticity, and to build a foundation that can withstand anything. The man who has faced hardship and allowed it to strip him bare is a man who walks in truth. He no longer leans on fragile illusions, but on strength that has been tested and proven. He becomes dependable not because of what he pretends to be, but because of what he has survived and overcome. Such a man is steady in the storm because he no longer fears losing what he never truly needed. So when hardship comes, do not despise it. It may take away what you thought was strength, but it will leave behind what is real and unshakable. Pride and arrogance will fall away, but in their place will rise humility, wisdom, and power that cannot be taken. The man who has been through this process is not weaker. He is stronger than ever, because everything false has been burned away and only the true remains. Every setback can feel like a door slamming in your face, like a cruel interruption of your plans. But setbacks are not final, they are tools in the hands of a greater power, chiseling away the parts of you that do not serve your true purpose. Just as a sculptor must strike the stone again and again to reveal the beauty within, life strikes us with disappointments, delays, and obstacles. These blows may sting, but each one is shaping you into a form stronger, wiser, and more capable than before. When you encounter a setback, it is easy to see only the pain of what has been lost. Yet hidden in that moment is an opportunity to grow in patience, determination, and vision. Setbacks force you to stop, to reconsider, and to refine your path. They carve away the shortcuts, the laziness, and the illusions, leaving only what is solid and enduring. Without them, you'd remain unshaped stone, full of potential but without form or purpose. A setback is not a rejection of your destiny, it is part of the preparation for it. Every difficulty faced prepares you to handle something greater. By enduring small losses, you learn to bear bigger responsibilities. By facing delays, you gain the endurance needed for long journeys. By surviving failure, you discover the strength that makes success possible. Each chisel mark in your life adds depth and definition to the person you are becoming. The beauty of setbacks is that they do not merely change what you do, they change who you are. They take the raw material of your life and refine it until you carry a presence and a wisdom that others can see and feel. Those who have been through setbacks and have learned from them radiate a strength that cannot be faked. They have been shaped, polished, and prepared for roles that require both resilience and humility. So when life strikes you with setbacks, do not despair. Remember that you are in the hands of a master sculptor. Every strike, every delay, every disappointment is carving away what is unnecessary so that your true greatness can emerge. The process may be painful, but the result will be a life of depth, beauty, and purpose. One that could only be formed through the careful chiseling of experience. Failure has a way of shaking us to our core. It strips away the comfort of success and confronts us with the raw reality of our limitations. When a plan collapses, when an effort falls short, when dreams seem to shatter, it can feel like the end of everything. Yet in truth, failure is not an end at all. It is a beginning. It is the furnace where the false is consumed and only what is real remains. Without it, no man is truly tested, and no character is truly proven. Inside the furnace of failure, weakness rises to the surface. Pride that once stood tall begins to crumble, and fear that lurked beneath is exposed. This process is not meant to humiliate, but to cleanse. The impurities of ego, haste, and arrogance are burned away, leaving behind a refined version of the person who entered. Just as gold must be melted before it shines with its truest brilliance, the human spirit must endure the heat of failure before it can emerge with resilience and clarity. Failure teaches lessons that victory cannot. Success often whispers sweet illusions that you are complete, that you are strong enough, that you do not need to change. But failure speaks with a sharper voice. It tells you where you are weak, where you have overlooked details, where you must grow. It forces you to confront the truth about yourself and your approach. In this way, failure is not an enemy but a relentless teacher who demands your attention and shapes your future. The man who has failed and risen again carries a power that the untested man will never know. He is no longer shaken by small storms, for he has survived greater ones. His confidence is no longer rooted in fragile assumptions, but in the knowledge that he can endure, adapt, and rise again. Failure has burned away his illusions and replaced them with courage and strength. That kind of confidence cannot be taught. It can only be forged in the fire of experience. Purified by failure, a person emerges with vision. He no longer seeks shortcuts because he has learned their cost. He no longer fears difficulty because he knows it is survivable. He no longer craves applause because he understands that approval does not equal strength. What he seeks instead is growth, mastery, and the fulfillment of purpose. This transformation is the true gift of failure, the shift from seeking recognition to seeking destiny. So when failure comes, do not see it as your enemy. See it as the furnace that has been prepared for your refining. You are not being destroyed, you are being purified. The flames that feel unbearable today are shaping the strength you will need tomorrow. Failure is not the closing of your story, it is the chapter where your character is tested, shaped, and strengthened for the victories yet to come. Loneliness is one of the hardest paths a person can walk, yet it is often the very soil where strength begins to grow. When the noise of the crowd fades, when companions drift away, and when you find yourself standing alone, you are forced to look within. In that solitude, the truth of who you are is revealed. Without distractions, without the comfort of approval, you learn to listen to your own soul and to the whisper of a higher calling. Loneliness strips away dependence on others and teaches you to stand firm on your own foundation. Rejection is another painful companion on the road to purpose. To be rejected is to feel unseen, unvalued, or unworthy in the eyes of others. Yet rejection often does for a person what acceptance cannot. It pushes you toward the place where you are truly meant to belong. Every closed door is not a denial of your worth, but a redirection of your path. By walking through rejection, you learn that your value does not come from the applause of the crowd, but from the strength of your character and the clarity of your purpose. Doubt creeps in when the journey grows long and the road ahead seems uncertain. It whispers questions: am I capable? Am I chosen? Is this worth the struggle? These moments of uncertainty are not designed to destroy you, but to strengthen your resolve. Doubt tests your faith in yourself and in your purpose. It forces you to decide whether you will abandon your mission or press forward despite not seeing the full picture. Walking through doubt teaches you that clarity does not always come before the step of faith. Sometimes it follows after. Loneliness, rejection, and doubt together form a refining fire. They break down the shallow parts of us that crave constant validation and instant answers. They carve into the soul a deeper strength, a greater patience, and a richer understanding of life. A man who has walked this road does not emerge bitter. If he allows the process to shape him, he emerges with compassion for others who walk the same road. His words carry weight because they are not born of theory but of experience. When God desires to use someone mightily, He first allows them to face these trials so that they are equipped to lead with humility and empathy. A leader who has never tasted loneliness cannot guide the lonely. One who has never faced rejection cannot lift the rejected. One who has never battled doubt cannot inspire the doubting. The process equips you not only for your own growth, but also to become a source of strength for others. So do not despise the seasons of loneliness, rejection, or doubt. They are not evidence that you are forgotten, but that you are being prepared. Every tear shed in solitude, every wound from rejection, every question in the dark is part of the making of a stronger, wiser, and more resilient you. To be used mightily, you must be shaped deeply, and these trials are the hands that mold you into the vessel you were always meant to be. There is a certain pride that lives in the human heart, a belief that we can handle everything on our own. We make plans, chase ambitions, and build our lives as if our strength alone is enough to carry us. Yet sooner or later, life has a way of showing us that self-sufficiency is an illusion. No matter how intelligent, skilled, or determined we are, there will come a moment when our efforts are not enough, when the weight is too heavy, when the outcome is beyond our control. That breaking point is not there to shame us, but to free us from the illusion that we are the sole authors of our destiny. When breaking comes, it strips away the false security we built around ourselves. The resources we trusted may vanish, the people we relied on may walk away, and the plans we carefully constructed may fall apart. At first, this feels like loss, but it is also liberation. By losing what we thought we needed, we begin to discover a deeper source of strength. The illusion of total independence fades, and in its place grows an understanding that life is bigger than our limited perspective. Breaking clears away the noise so we can hear the guidance of wisdom that does not come from ourselves. It is in these moments of brokenness that many people experience their first real encounter with higher wisdom. We become still enough to listen, humble enough to learn, and open enough to receive direction. When everything we once depended on has failed, we are more willing to see there is a greater hand at work, guiding us, shaping us, and teaching us lessons that comfort and ease could never provide. What once felt like defeat begins to feel like instruction, and what seemed like chaos reveals itself as careful design. The man who has been broken in this way gains a perspective that cannot be taught in books or classrooms. He knows from experience that human effort alone is fragile, but wisdom that flows from beyond him is unshakable. He begins to walk with humility, no longer boasting in his own power, but trusting in something greater. His confidence is quieter, steadier, and more enduring because it is no longer built on shifting sand, but on a foundation that cannot be moved. Breaking, then, is not destruction. It is redirection. It does not erase your strength, but reshapes it. It teaches you that your gifts, talents, and efforts are valuable but incomplete without guidance from beyond yourself. This balance creates a life that is both powerful and grounded, one that can weather storms without collapsing under the weight of self-reliance. True strength is not found in standing alone, but in knowing where to lean when the burden is too great. So if life has broken your sense of self-sufficiency, take it as a gift in disguise. You are being invited into a deeper wisdom, one that does not fail when circumstances shift. What feels like the end of your independence is the beginning of true strength, for it anchors you to a wisdom far greater than your own. And with that wisdom, you can walk forward not only with power, but with peace, knowing you are never truly alone in your journey. True leadership never emerges from a life of ease. Comfort may create managers, caretakers of the familiar, but it cannot shape visionaries who lead others through the unknown. Struggle is the furnace that produces leaders of substance. When a man faces resistance, he learns endurance. When obstacles rise against him, he learns to fight not only for himself, but for those who follow him. Without these trials, leadership remains shallow, built only on words and not on lived experience. Loss is another teacher of leaders. To lose something precious, whether it be time, opportunities, or even people, carves depth into the soul. Loss humbles, it softens arrogance, and it awakens empathy. A man who has never felt the sting of loss will struggle to understand the pain of those he leads. But the one who has walked through sorrow carries with him not just authority, but compassion. That compassion becomes the invisible bond that allows others to trust his direction, even when the road ahead is difficult. Rebuilding is the final layer in this refining process. Struggle tests strength, loss teaches empathy, but rebuilding cultivates resilience. A man who has seen his plans crumble and then dared to rise again possesses a power that cannot be imitated. Rebuilding teaches that failure is not final, that even from ruins something greater can emerge. This kind of leader inspires because his life itself becomes a living testimony that it is possible to begin again, to rise higher from the ashes of defeat. The comfort of an unchallenged life can produce pride, entitlement, and fragility, but struggle, loss, and rebuilding produce humility, wisdom, and resilience. These are the true marks of a leader. They create someone who does not merely stand in front of others, but walks among them, guiding with both authority and empathy. His leadership is not about commanding obedience, but about inspiring trust, because he has proven he understands what it means to fall, to bleed, and to rise again. True leaders are forged in the fires of life because only fire can separate the strong from the brittle. Those who have never been tested will crumble under the weight of real responsibility. But those who have endured trial after trial emerge tempered like steel, capable of carrying the weight of vision and guiding others through storms. The very struggles that once seemed unbearable become the foundation of their strength. So when you face struggle, loss, and the need to rebuild, do not see yourself as disqualified. These experiences are not the end of your leadership, they are the beginning of it. Every hardship is molding you into someone capable of guiding others with courage and wisdom. Leadership is not about avoiding pain, it is about transforming pain into purpose. And those who endure this process become leaders whose influence cannot be shaken because their authority was purchased through struggle, loss, and the courage to rebuild. Pain has a way of reaching into the deepest places of the soul and pulling at what we thought was already stretched to its limits. It disrupts the comfort of ordinary living and forces us to grow in ways we never imagined possible. Though it feels unbearable in the moment, pain is not there to crush us. It is there to expand us. It stretches the soul so that it can hold more vision, more compassion, and more strength than it ever could before. Without this stretching, our capacity remains small, confined by comfort. When you endure pain, you begin to see life differently. What once seemed important may lose its value, and what once seemed small may become precious. Pain sharpens your vision because it clears away illusions. It forces you to see reality as it truly is, not as you wished it to be. A man who has walked through pain sees the world with eyes that notice the struggles of others, and he carries a clarity of purpose that could not exist without the lessons carved by suffering. Empathy is born in the soil of pain. When you yourself have hurt, you gain the ability to recognize hurt in others. You begin to understand silence, see beyond smiles, and hear what words do not say. Pain softens the heart, making it tender enough to care deeply, yet strong enough to stand beside others in their darkest hours. Without pain, empathy remains shallow, but through pain, it becomes a well that never runs dry. Purpose also grows in the presence of pain. Suffering forces you to ask deeper questions. Why am I here? What is worth enduring this struggle? What can I give to the world that makes this pain meaningful? The answers to those questions are rarely found in comfort, but they emerge in seasons of difficulty. Pain has a way of pushing you to align with something larger than yourself, something that gives meaning to the trials you endure. The stretching of the soul is never comfortable, but it is always necessary. Just as a muscle must tear slightly to grow stronger, the soul must be stretched through difficulty to grow in capacity. Every painful season enlarges your ability to hold vision, to pour out compassion, and to stand firm in purpose. You become a vessel not just for your own dreams, but for the hopes of others who look to you for strength. So do not despise pain when it enters your life. It may feel like a burden, but it is also a gift. It is expanding your vision beyond what you thought possible, deepening your empathy for those around you, and anchoring your life in purpose that comfort could never provide. Pain is not the end of your story. It is the very force that stretches your soul wide enough to carry the destiny waiting for you. Defeat has a way of humbling us. It strips away the illusion that desire alone is enough to achieve anything. When you fall short after giving your best effort, you come face to face with the truth that passion without structure cannot carry you far. In those ashes, when the sting of failure is still fresh, discipline begins to take root. You learn that strength of will is not found in bursts of energy, but in steady, consistent effort that refuses to quit even when the road is hard. Discipline is not something you are born with. It is forged in the fire of setbacks. Each defeat shows you where you were unprepared, where you relied too heavily on talent, or where you underestimated the demands of your goal. It is in that reflection that discipline begins to grow. You realize that success will never come to those who rely on chance. It belongs to those who practice, plan, and persevere day after day. Defeat then becomes the seedbed of determination because it reveals the cost of neglecting discipline. Dreams are beautiful, but they are fragile without discipline. Many people have visions of greatness, yet those visions remain locked away in their minds because they never learned to master themselves. The discipline born from defeat teaches you to rise early when you feel like sleeping, to keep moving when you feel like quitting, and to repeat the right actions until they carve results into reality. Dreams require more than inspiration. They require a steady hand and a steady heart. When you rise from defeat with discipline, you carry a power that others cannot see. You no longer depend on bursts of motivation because you have trained yourself to act regardless of how you feel. This inner mastery becomes a shield against discouragement and distraction. While others stop at the first sign of difficulty, you press forward because you have already learned in the ashes of your failures that consistency is the only bridge between vision and reality. Discipline also reshapes your identity. You begin to see yourself not as someone who only dreams, but as someone who does the work. Your confidence grows not because of what you hope to achieve, but because of the actions you take every single day. This shift in identity creates momentum, and momentum carries you to places you once thought unreachable. Without discipline, defeat breaks discipline, defeat builds you. So when defeat comes, do not despise it. Let it burn away your excuses and expose your lack of preparation. Then, in those ashes, choose discipline, for discipline is the tool that transforms dreams into reality, visions into victories, and failures into stepping stones. Without it, dreams remain dream life, but with it, nothing remains impossible. When everything is going well and success comes easily, it is tempting to believe you have all the answers. Triumph can make the heart proud, and pride often blinds us to the deeper lessons hidden beneath the surface of life. But when you are broken, when victory slips away and comfort is taken from you, the heart softens. It is in this softening that real wisdom begins to take root. A heart broken by loss, disappointment, or failure is no longer closed off by pride. It becomes open and ready to receive the truths that triumph would have hidden. In brokenness, you learn humility in a way that triumph cannot teach. Success often whispers that you are strong enough on your own, but brokenness teaches you dependence, dependence on wisdom greater than yourself, and sometimes dependence on the kindness and support of others. This lesson reminds you that life is not meant to be carried alone. It strips away the illusion of self-sufficiency and shows you the value of connection, empathy, and shared struggle. Another lesson that brokenness teaches is gratitude. When everything falls apart, you begin to notice the smallest blessings. What once seemed ordinary, a kind word, a moment of peace, a friend who stays, becomes extraordinary. Triumph rarely slows us down enough to notice these things, but brokenness sharpens our vision. It reveals that the foundation of life is not built on trophies or applause, but on the simple, lasting gifts we often overlook. Brokenness also teaches endurance. In success, the path feels easy and endurance is never tested. But in failure or pain, you discover your ability to keep moving when everything in you wants to stop. That endurance becomes a part of you, a strength you carry into every future challenge. It is a lesson that triumph could never provide, because triumph never pushes you to the edge of your strength where true endurance is born. Perhaps the most powerful lesson of brokenness is compassion. When you have been hurt, you understand hurt in others. When you have lost, you know the emptiness others feel in their losses. Brokenness gives you the ability to see beyond yourself and walk gently with others in their struggles. It turns you into someone who does not just succeed for yourself, but lives to lift others from the places you once stood. Triumph can make you admired, but brokenness can make you human, and it is in our humanity that true influence lies. So when life breaks you, remember that you are not being robbed of lessons, you are being given them. These lessons could never have been written on your heart in the glow of triumph. They are carved there in the silence of pain, the loneliness of loss, and the slow rebuilding of hope. Brokenness may feel like the end, but in truth, it is a classroom, and the lessons you learn there will guide you for the rest of your life. Breaking can feel like destruction, as if everything you built has been torn down and nothing remains. In those moments, it is easy to believe that you have been abandoned, that life has no further use for you. But breaking is not meant to end you. It is meant to strip away what no longer serves you, so that something new and stronger can take its place. What looks like the end is often the beginning of a deeper transformation that could not have happened without the breaking. When something is broken, it is taken apart. The same happens in our lives. Dreams fall apart, relationships collapse, confidence shatters. Yet in that disassembly, there is purpose. Just as a craftsman must sometimes take apart what is poorly built in order to rebuild it properly, life will allow what is weak in you to collapse so that it can be rebuilt on a firmer foundation. Breaking clears the ground for remaking, ensuring that your next structure will be stronger, more resilient, and aligned with your true calling. This process is never comfortable, but it is necessary. If you were left unbroken, you would cling to the same habits, the same pride, the same illusions that limit your growth. Breaking removes these barriers by force, leaving you exposed and vulnerable. But it is in that vulnerability that the real rebuilding can begin. With the walls torn down, new vision can be poured in. With pride dismantled, humility can grow. With false strength gone, true strength can rise. The remaking is always aligned with purpose. You are not broken randomly, nor are you rebuilt without intention. Every piece of you that is stripped away makes room for something greater. Perhaps it is patience where there was once impatience, compassion where there was once selfishness, or resilience where there was once fragility. The breaking is precise, targeting what hinders your calling, so that you emerge equipped to walk the path meant only for you. As you are remade, you discover a new clarity about your life. You see more clearly who you are, what matters most, and what you are called to do. The struggles you once resented become the very experiences that qualify you to serve others, to lead, and to fulfill a destiny that comfort could never have prepared you for. The remaking turns your wounds into wisdom and your scars into stories that inspire and guide others. So do not fear the breaking. It is not there to destroy you. It is there to recreate you into a vessel strong enough to carry your purpose. You are not being cast aside, you are being reformed. Every strike, every tear, every loss is part of a design that is not meant to end you but to equip you. Breaking is not the final chapter. It is the rewriting of your story so you can fulfill the calling that only you can carry. Every scar tells a story. It is evidence that you have walked through something that tried to break you but did not succeed. Scars are not signs of weakness, they are marks of survival. They speak of nights when you thought you could not endure, yet you did. They speak of battles fought in silence and storms weathered when no one was watching. When others see your scars, they may only notice the mark, but you know the depth of the journey that produced it. Wounds once healed become testimonies. At the time, pain feels unbearable, like it has no purpose except to crush you. But when healing comes, you realize that the wound was shaping your perspective, softening your heart, and deepening your strength. What was once a source of shame or sorrow becomes a testimony you can share with others. It tells them that they too can survive what feels impossible. Your wound becomes their encouragement, proof that pain does not last forever and that healing is real. Tears, though often hidden, are seeds of growth. Each tear shed in frustration, in grief, or in despair waters the soil of your future strength. They are not wasted, they are investments. In the moment, they may feel like weakness, but in reality, they are signs that your heart is alive, that it still cares, still hopes, still longs for something greater. Over time, those tears give birth to resilience, compassion, and wisdom that cannot be learned in comfort. Scars, wounds, and tears together create a tapestry of growth. They turn your life into a story that carries power far beyond yourself. People are not inspired by those who have never struggled. They are inspired by those who struggled and endured. Your scars become a language that others in pain can understand. Your wounds, turned testimonies, become the evidence they need to keep going. And your tears remind them that brokenness is not the end, but the beginning of transformation. The beauty of this process is that nothing is wasted. What once seemed like unbearable pain becomes the very thing that gives your life meaning and influence. The scars you carry are no longer things to hide but to honor because they remind you of where you've been and how far you've come. Each one is proof that breaking did not destroy you, it prepared you. Each one is proof that your journey is shaping not just your destiny, but the destinies of those who look to you for hope. So never be ashamed of your scars, your wounds, or your tears. They are sacred marks of growth, reminders that even in the darkest seasons, something new was being planted in you. They testify to your endurance, they tell the story of your survival, and they prepare the way for a future richer in wisdom and compassion. Every scar is a story, every wound a testimony, and every tear a seed. Together they form the garden of your becoming. Rising without ever being broken may look impressive on the surface, but it often leaves a person shallow in character. When success comes too easily, there is no resistance to shape depth, no hardship to carve wisdom into the soul. It is like a tree that grows tall but shallow-rooted. The first strong wind can topple it. Without breaking, one may enjoy comfort, but that comfort robs them of the lessons that only struggle can teach. Those who have been broken and then rise again carry a weight that cannot be faked. They have felt the sting of loss, the silence of loneliness, and the burn of failure. Rising after breaking is not about appearances, it is about endurance. Their victories are not shallow accomplishments, they are hard-earned triumphs that carry depth and meaning. Each scar along the way becomes a source of power, each setback a lesson that shapes their strength. The wisdom that comes from breaking cannot be learned in books or from the words of others. It comes from walking through the fire and surviving it. Those who rise after being broken understand humility because they have faced their limits. They understand compassion because they have needed it themselves. They understand resilience because they have been forced to rebuild from nothing. This depth makes them not only stronger, but also capable of guiding others. Power gained after breaking is different from the power gained through easy success. It is not prideful, nor is it fragile. It is steady, unshakable, and enduring. Such power cannot be stolen by circumstance because it was born in the furnace of trial. These people are not intimidated by failure because they have already known it and overcome it. They walk with a quiet authority that others recognize without a word being spoken. In contrast, those who have never been broken often struggle when true difficulty comes. Their confidence falters because it was built on untested ground. They may crumble under the weight of failure because they never learned how to stand when everything falls apart. Without the refining fire of breaking, their rise may be high, but it is not stable. It lacks the depth and power that only hardship can produce. To rise after breaking is to carry both wisdom and power, not as ornaments, but as part of who you are. It is to stand taller not because you were never knocked down, but because every time you were, you learned to rise differently, stronger, and with greater purpose. This is the kind of rise that lasts, the kind that leaves an impact far beyond yourself. Easy victories fade quickly, but victories earned through breaking leave behind wisdom and strength that can never be erased. The world has never been moved forward by people who lived untouched by hardship. What humanity truly needs are not perfect examples of unbroken lives, but real men and women who have wrestled with their storms and emerged with strength that cannot be denied. An unbroken life may appear neat and admirable, but it lacks the gravity to inspire. People are drawn to those who have endured, who have faced their trials, and who now shine with a strength born of struggle. When someone has walked through valleys of pain, they carry an authenticity that no mask of perfection can imitate. Their words carry weight because they were tested in fire. Their presence brings hope because others can see the evidence of survival in their eyes. It is not their polish that inspires, it is their scars. The unbroken may seem admirable from a distance, but it is the battle-tested soul that awakens courage in those who feel weak and defeated. Trials refine a person into something greater than they once were. In wrestling with hardship, one discovers patience, resilience, faith, and clarity of purpose. These qualities cannot be found in comfort alone. They are treasures unearthed only in the dark through wrestling with life's fiercest battles. And when someone emerges from that process, they are not simply stronger for themselves. They become a living symbol that struggle can be overcome, and that transformation is possible. The strength that emerges from brokenness is contagious. Others see it and feel permission to rise from their own struggles. It gives them proof that their pain does not have to define them, but can instead refine them. A single person who has endured and risen can ignite courage in countless others, creating a ripple effect of hope and perseverance. This is why the world does not need men and women untouched by pain. It needs those who have walked through it and still stand. To be broken and rebuilt is to carry a depth of character that can speak to the silent suffering of others. It is not just strength in the physical sense, but strength of spirit, strength of compassion, strength of endurance. These are the qualities that inspire because they reach into the very heart of human struggle. Those who have wrestled with trials know how to speak to those still in them, offering not empty words but real understanding and guidance. So the world looks not for unbroken examples of perfection, but for the broken who dare to rise. It craves the inspiration of men and women who refuse to be defeated by life, who turn their battles into breakthroughs and their scars into symbols of hope. It is through these people that others find the courage to endure, the will to fight, and the strength to believe that they too can emerge stronger than before. So if you feel broken, remember this: you are not being discarded, you are being prepared. Breaking often feels like rejection, as if life has decided you are no longer worthy of joy or purpose. Yet in truth, breaking is the process of refinement. Just as gold must be melted before it shines, the human spirit must sometimes be pressed to its limits to discover its strength. The very pain you'll may be the chiseling hand of destiny shaping you into something greater than you imagined. Preparation does not come through ease and comfort, but through struggle and endurance. Every broken piece of your life is not wasted, it is being rearranged for a higher purpose. You are not being stripped of your value, you are being reshaped so that your value can emerge in fuller measure. What feels like a setback is often the foundation of a comeback. Life is not throwing you away, it is preparing you to carry a weight that only a refined soul can handle. The greater the breaking, the greater the destiny. Small assignments require little preparation, but great callings demand deep transformation. If your trials feel unbearable, it may be because your purpose requires unusual strength. Life is equipping you to carry wisdom, influence, and power that could not be placed in untested hands. The breaking you endure now is an indication of the magnitude of what lies ahead. When you are being prepared, it is easy to mistake the process for abandonment. But consider the seed. It must first be buried in the dark, broken open, and split apart before it can grow. In the same way, your breaking is not the end, but the beginning of growth. What looks like ruin is actually the release of your true potential. Out of the fragments of your struggle, a new version of you is being formed, stronger, wiser, and destined for more. Preparation through breaking creates a resilience that cannot be taken away. Once you have walked through fire and survived, you carry a power that no one can strip from you. You begin to see setbacks differently, not as destruction, but as stepping stones. Your mindset shifts from fear to faith, from despair to determination. The very things that once threatened to destroy you now serve as reminders that you were made for more. So do not despise your season of breaking. It is not evidence of weakness or rejection. It is evidence that you are being readied for something extraordinary. Hold on, endure, and trust the process. The pain you carry today is the preparation for the greatness of tomorrow. And when the time comes, you will look back and realize that every breaking moment was not meant to end you, but to launch you into your destiny. And so the truth is that God breaks the man he wants to use, not to weaken him, but to make him unstoppable.